Can this junk Nintendo DS Lite be fully restored? Make sure to watch to the end.
Hello. Today I'm going to be restoring this Nintendo DS Lite that I bought from Japan. I didn't pay very much for this thing, and what intrigued me was just how dirty and gross it was.
The Nintendo DS Lite has always been one of my favorite handheld consoles. I always loved the form factor of it, how it feels in the hands and the buttons and everything. I've always loved the DS Lite.
It's covered in stickers, which, to be honest with you, is kind of cool. I did that too as a kid. But I just felt like this DS needed to have another life. It's probably ended up in some secondhand junk shop and it's being sold on Yahoo auctions. I bought this using Sendico. I'll leave a link to them in the description below.
Yeah, and if anyone can give this thing a second life, it's Elliot Cole, the Retro Future. He does a great job of restoring these handheld consoles, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with this one.
So for this one, I'm going to have to wear some gloves. Now, what I love about this DS, as I was saying, is although it's really dirty and gross, the majority of the issues that this is having is just from the excessive amounts of use that this has had.
It took me a long second there for this to sink in. Look at this thing. Every single crease and crevice is just absolutely loaded up with dust and debris. This one's in some gnarly condition. That's crazy.
Which is just lovely. Somewhere out there is someone who had this DS and they made so many memories on it.
Oh,
and that is...
Look at this. Look at this. Come on. Come back. Look at that port. Just look at how brown that headphone jack port is. It's brown. Like, that is brown. That is dirt. That is gunk. And same with the stylus hole here. It's not as bad as the headphone jack, but wow, that is insane.
So many memories on it, and that is just beautiful. And I'm going to be getting this thing back to its former glory whilst keeping some of its sort of patina and age-related wear. And I think it's going to be an absolutely insanely cool video. So
this is incredible, actually. It's incredible that a device like this that is obviously so well loved and used still works after all this time. Like, I've seen much better condition looking devices that just wouldn't power on. It's bizarre to me that this thing that has obviously been through the ringer is still turning on and functioning. That's crazy.
Let's get on with this thing. The good thing about these DSs is that they're not region locked. Although this one is from Japan, you can just change the language to English.
That's cool.
You can see there's a little bit of yellowing going on here and there. There's a lot of dirt and grime that's sort of embedded itself into the scratches on the DS. So we're going to have to do as
That's an understatement.
best we can to get that all out. This isn't one of those fake restorations like there are so many of on the internet. This is an actual real one. So this isn't going to be perfect by the time it comes out, but look at this thing. It's just absolutely gross.
Definitely in need of some TLC.
Not even a slight bit of water on that water pad thing that shows whether it's had any water damage. There's probably for like a warranty thing, but there's two of those on the DS, and spoiler alert, both of them have not been tripped. So we'll start by taking off the back.
That's actually pretty impressive. So again, like, this device was obviously really well loved and used. Like, probably beyond intention, you know? Like, this thing well, I don't know what the intended, length of time or life of a device for like this would be. But in my opinion, it seems like it was used way after kind of the projected lifespan of one of these devices. And it's incredible to me that with it being in this bad of condition, it still powers on, and the watermark was never tripped, like that. So it's never had water damage. That's pretty impressive.
Back, there's a bunch of different screws. They're all different types and sizes and stuff, so you need to be really careful not to lose those.
I love this. Nintendo device ASMR. Yes. Show us the insides.
Inside this thing, and it's actually slightly broken there as well, probably because of just the amount of games that have been pushed into this thing.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. He's scraping off a layer of just brown nasty. Like, absolute brown nasty coming off this thing. This is crazy.
All the dirt that's gotten stuck down here and in the volume slider. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a DS be so disgusting before.
Right.
This is the volume slider. The volume actually didn't work, and This is probably why. So we're going to have to replace that and having a
Yeah, the component is just completely broken loose. That makes sense. Probably shouldn't work in that condition.
look around the motherboard. You can see there's no rust, no corrosion, no oxidation. It's just a very honest, good condition, but well-loved DS. And there's that
Wow.
water pad, which is absolutely mint. Bunch of dirt and fine hairs, but that's just from the cartridge port because there's holes straight to the outside world. So let's go ahead and remove the DS stylus holder. I'm going to be literally cleaning every single component of this DS, so it's going to be as spotless as it could possibly be.
Nice.
That's all the dirt and grime from the stylus being pushed in and out. Unfortunately, this one doesn't actually have the stylus. I'll need to buy a new one of those. Look at all of the grime in there. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I don't even know how that all gets in there because I've seen some really old devices that don't have all that in there too. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the environment. Like maybe this person had pets or they were going in, I don't know, BMX biking or what am I saying? Mountain biking or something like that. And they're always tracking in a lot of mud and dirt and stuff. And so that's just the environment that this has been around. I don't know, but it's just crazy the difference that there can be with the inside of these devices.
And one of the sad things about the faked restoration videos is that they don't even have genuine dirt and grime on them. That often is the case that the dirt and grime has been put on by someone to then just be removed again by the same person. So it's kind of pointless, but obviously it's just done for the entertainment and the views and then ultimately the money. So removing this antenna is a bit of a nightmare. You've got to pull it out from behind the cartridge slot, and then we can undo the digitizer touchscreen ribbon cable. That's the trigger button for one of the shoulder buttons, and yeah, you can see it's ripped off. Again, that is just from use. That's not from abuse. That is just from use, which is...
So, yeah, man, I can't say it enough. This thing got loved to the end of time. It was just used until the very last. That's crazy.
Such a lovely thing to see, to be honest. And it's quite a small switch, so I'm going to have to try my best to replace that.
Yeah.
So I can pop out the screen and undo the ribbon cable. Got to be super gentle with the ribbon cables on DS's because they are very, very fine and all wrapped up and rolling through the hinge, so it's something that we have to be really careful with. And overall, the motherboard is pretty damn good. It obviously needs a very good clean, and it needs the shoulder button replaced as well as the volume slider, but besides that, it's pretty.
Honestly, not as bad as I would expect for how bad it is on the outside. Like this is not that bad. It's like there's no visible grime anywhere, and I mean you'd have to look closer, I'm sure, but just from this view, it looks pretty good except for the scratched up card holder.
Good. Now here's the lower screen. It looks awful, but it's actually just a screen protector, so that's quite nice. Now both of these screens have some yellowing to them, but I like to think that that is kind of just patina. That is just use, and like a watch, you wouldn't want to replace the dial because it was a little bit yellow.
True.
The patina is something that is only caused by use, wear, and love, so I'm going to be keeping the screens slightly yellow. It's so easy to replace them, especially because I'm taking the whole thing apart, but it's not authentic to a restoration for me to just replace everything.
That's a good point, and I actually really appreciate that. Yeah, he's keeping all the original parts. That's, well, as many of the original parts as he can justify for a full functional restoration, right? But keeping the screens, even though they're yellowed a little bit, I like that. It's true to a restoration of keeping as much original stuff as you can.
Look at how gross the rubber membranes are on the buttons, and even around the action buttons. We're going to have to clean all of that too.
Yeah.
So let's take out these screws for the hinge, and the hinge, for some reason, is the yellowest thing on this entire DS. Like,
I was wondering about that. I wonder why, like maybe it's a slightly different type of plastic or it's coated differently. But yeah, that's really interesting that just the hinge is like the most yellow part, and then the rest actually has a lot more white to it.
How is that yellowed differently to the rest of it? I don't actually know.
Right.
We'll have to pull the antenna and microphone cables through, and then we can very gently remove the ribbon cable. And that's the bottom shell piece. Just look how dirty that is.
Woo!
This is the little hinge, which does all of the hinge stuff. Again, we're going to be using that as well. I could replace it for longevity, but it works absolutely fine.
Very cool.
Now, these small little rubber covers I did actually end up replacing, and I just used a spare donor DS that I had that was destroyed, so forgive me for that, but they were ever so slightly less yellowed than the ones that this one had.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Something very minor like that, like the little screw pad covers, who cares, honestly. I think it's cooler that he's keeping the original screens. That seems like more of a important note for a good restoration to me.
So we can pop off the back, which is done by sort of sliding the top shell down, and then we can take out the speakers.
I just want to say, like, I really appreciate how delicate and like gently he's working with this hardware. You can tell that he has a great appreciation for the hardware, right? He has a great appreciation and respect for it in the way that he handles it. I do really appreciate that.
And then we can carefully pull everything through that small little hole. Now, we're even going to be restoring this tiny little dummy cartridge, which sort of stops dirt and grime from getting into the DS.
I like
is
it.
a very nice little thing from Nintendo. It's super over-engineered. It's even got a PCB inside, which is kind of funny. And then
Yeah.
here is the bucket of boiling hot water filled with soap that I'll be using to give everything a nice clean.
There we go. This is what I want to see. I want to see these parts coming out brand spanking new, just shiny and clean. That's what I like. That's what I like to see. Yes, get it all off of there. Bring this thing back to its former glory. I understand wanting to like super personalize your device with like stickers and decals and stuff like that. But at the same time, like stickers always get so nasty around the edges where all the adhesive kind of like sticks out on the very, very edge of a sticker. It always gets so disgusting. And, usually they start peeling up a little bit, so they're not even fully flush, the whole time they're on the device. It just usually ends up looking way worse, like even just a couple weeks or maybe a month or two after the stickers are applied. So I don't know why people like to do that so much. I get the personalization of it, but at the same time, like, couldn't you just get a case or something? Like, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. It's already looking so much better. Yes. Yes, get rid of those stickers. Oh gosh, there's so many. Yes, they're gone. I'm so glad to see those stickers come off. It's amazing how much of a difference just a little soap and water can make. Like he's not even doing anything that special. It's just a toothbrush, soap, and water. Or like warm water. That's crazy.
There we have it. Everything is all spotlessly clean. Now,
that's so much better. It's so much better. Infinitely better.
there's still scratches, and in those scratches are more dirt, which I couldn't get out with a toothbrush. But this right here is going to help us a lot.
Woo!
This is a magic eraser, which is essentially a very light sanding pad. It's a small little white sponge which just ever so slightly sands down a thin layer off the top. Mostly just dirt and grime, but it does also take out very small scratches. You can see up close here.
That's impressive. Look at this.
It's done a great job. And so
that's way better. Oh my gosh, this thing was nicked and dinged up, and there was all little tons of little black spots in there of like dirt and grime stuck in the little holes. This is way better. Awesome.
This is your best friend when working with plastics, and then afterwards we'll be able to polish everything again, and it should all be nice and shiny and new looking. That's the hinge cover, again looking all scratched up, but just with a light sand of the magic eraser, and you can see
Way
it's
better.
looking much better. Obviously we still need to whiten these up, but for the most part they are looking infinitely better. Even if I put this DS back together now, it would be a vast improvement from the start.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. It's done an amazing job. The magic eraser. That's crazy how much of a difference it makes. Wow.
Now, one of the things I hate about fake restoration videos is that the shell often gets swapped halfway through for an aftermarket one or another one in much better condition. That is not going to be the case with this video at all. The yellowing on the top of the DS shell I was not fully able to remove, but I kind of like that because where there's like a bit of a grid pattern from where the stickers were, that is still there. And as Bob Mortimer said, it's kind of like fingerprints on an abandoned handrail.
Yeah, so you give a new life to the device, but you still kind of have the echo of that previous life there. So it still looks amazing, like completely restored, like completely playable and looks great for what it is and how old it is. But then you still have that echo, that little remembrance that, hey, this was somebody else's, but we've given it new life. We've breathed some more energy and kind of, yeah, a new existence into it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's great. That's absolutely great.
Now, retro brighting is essentially a posh word for just bleaching plastic.
Okay.
Retro brighting is achieved with hydrogen peroxide and a UV nail lamp. Now there's lots of different methods for this. I use the liquid one. It just stops it evaporating and leaving like a weird sort of streaking on the plastic. I use a UV nail hardening lamp to get the UV rays on it. I also left it out in the sun. It's not 100% clear the exact way to do this. Some people have had some success from just literally leaving it out in the sun, but I had a good amount of success from just a bunch of different methods.
Interesting. Yeah, so we just did a mishmash of techniques there to try and whiten up the plastic. I've never really heard about the hydrogen peroxide soak and then the UV lighting. I've never heard of that. I've heard of, let's see, I think it was just straight up isopropyl alcohol, just doing a rub. I used to do that for like Super Nintendos, and it would take away a lot of that yellowing, but yeah, that's really interesting to learn some new techniques there.
Now it was time to clean up the motherboard with some isopropyl alcohol. Let's go ahead and give the whole thing a big scrub.
Yeah. It's crazy that you could just go right over circuitry like that with a toothbrush and it doesn't damage it. That kind of blows my mind a little bit. I always thought in the past that circuitry and stuff like that, like circuit boards and little components were a lot more delicate than that, but I guess not.
Now the small little metal contacts had seen quite a lot of use, so I used a spudger tool just to remove any stubborn dirt and grime, and then polished it up a bit more with some isopropyl alcohol, and these are going to work again for a very long time. Once
Nice.
everything's been all cleaned up, I'm going to remove the volume slider. Unfortunately, one of the pads ripped off in this process, but I'm fairly certain that pad is redundant anyway. It might just be used to hold down the slider. And then we can tin up the shoulder button here as well with some flux and some fresh solder.
Something really calming and like relaxing about somebody doing soldering on video. I don't know why. I just feel that way, and I like it. It's it's like a little Zen techie, like a little techie Zen mode for me. I don't know.
And in goes the replacement. Much better. And this is the replacement volume slider. Both of these came from a donor board.
Okay. Very cool.
And we can even give the actual shoulder button a clean by removing the small little rubber pad and then dropping some isopropyl alcohol in, giving it a little shake around and reinstating that rubber pad.
Okay.
We could do the same with the volume slider. And I also did the same to the power switch. And now it's time to reassemble this thing.
This is what we came for, everybody. We want to see the finished product. How did it turn out? Does it look amazing, or is it still leaving us wanting for a better restoration? Let's find out.
And I'm just going to stay quiet because this is a beautiful process.
Yeah. Man, this just reminds me so much of when I was a kid and I would take apart electronic devices just to see how they worked. And most of the time, they wouldn't go back together properly. It's always good to see someone putting it together and it's actually going together the right way. Ooh, that turned out really good. I mean, you can already see how good it looks. Look at it. It's like almost brand new. This is crazy. Wow. I'm impressed. I'm actually impressed. It's coming together really nicely. He's got the shakes a little bit there, but I probably would too. Working with that super delicate like ribbon cable right there, I've seen and heard that these can break pretty easily, so I don't blame him. Nice. The final finishing touches. Man, it looks so much better. I cannot get over that. That's crazy. Here we go, guys. It's almost ready. We're closing it up. Come on. Show us the finished product. We're almost there. We're almost there. Couple more screws. Battery. Come on, battery. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Man, even the dummy slot.
And
That's
there
crazy.
We have it. I have finished reassembling the DS Lite. One thing I wanted to quickly try was some plastic polish. Where I used the magic eraser, it had removed some of the shine of the DS and it left it with some little very small sort of matte finish scuffs in areas where I had to rub a little bit harder. This plastic polish did a great job at removing that sort of matte finish and bringing back the shine. It definitely didn't remove any of the deeper scratches. I think I'm just going to have to accept that this DS has some deeper scratches. But there it is.
What are you talking about? Deeper scratches, guys. Look at this. He did an incredible job. I wish he would show a before and after. I really wish he would. Just a quick woo woo, like just so you could see, like, or a side by side. Oh my goodness. but from what I remember very clearly, every single crease, crevice, crack, everywhere was just dirty. So much brown gunk. And this looks incredible.
What do you think of the overall final thing? It's usable, it's clean, it's got another lease of life.
Yes.
And I am so proud of this little thing
Yes.
for making it this far and coming out looking just infinitely better. It's obviously not 100% perfect, but I think making this thing 100% perfect was probably going to be impossible. But just look at all of that gunk compared to now.
Okay, to be clear, for using the original parts as much as humanly possible and restoring them as good as he could, I would call this a perfect restoration. If you get my meaning. Like, it's not like new, because it can't possibly be with how used the parts are, but for as good as he could restore them, this is as close to like new as possible. So therefore, I would call this a perfect restoration. Fantastic job. I'm really impressed.
Now, what a massive difference. This is
Yeah.
genuinely something that you could use. This is not just a piece of art to sit on the shelf. This is a fully functional, usable Nintendo DS Lite.
Seriously.
I'm so happy with it. Let's just put some games in and have a little play. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have enjoyed. I hope you've made it this far. If you did, comment down below with white DS Lite 2K23 and I'll heart the comment. Bye.
Crazy. That was a really enjoyable watch. It's incredible. Fully functioning. There you go. Looks amazing. Look at that. I'm really happy with how this turned out, guys. I cannot believe that it looks this good. I'm serious. It looks basically almost new. Like, it looks like somebody had used this for maybe 2-3 months. Like, very light usage. That's how it appears to me at this point. And before, it looked like it had been put through the ringer for 15 years straight with really heavy use. Like, this is absolutely incredible. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Well, what do you guys think? Was that a solid restoration, or did it leave some to be desired? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like, a subscribe, and I will see you next time.